everyone, this is Rumish, the founder president of the organization The Voices of World. This interaction is a part of our Youth Leadership League series. As a part of this, the WOW team would be holding interaction sessions with people from different fields and would like to know their journey and beyond. Today, we have one such exceptional and extraordinary person, Miss Anshita Singh, who is pursuing a PhD program in psychology at the University of Virginia in the US, right after her undergraduate from Delhi University. I hope I got that bit right.
Yep, pretty much, yes.
And I know you have answered it a dozen of times, but how does it feel to be finally in the US? You have been
Oh,
born and brought up here in Delhi NCR.
uh-huh.
Now, after moving several thousand miles from here, how is that striking contrast there, and how is that sense of independence coming?
That's a great question. I don't think people have asked me that before, but not in this way, the independence part, because people don't realize until they have actually gone through the process, because um, you do get a lot of freedom in terms of what you want to do, how you want to do. And especially with a PhD program, you don't have to attend too many classes. Like you get your own working hours, like you don't have to follow anyone's lead, like there's no specific time of working. You have to take a couple classes for the first 2 years, but then other parts of it is like totally up to you. I can work until 12 in the morning, or I can like start my work at 12 in the afternoon or in the evening. No one cares. As long as you're doing the work, it doesn't matter. So yes, that sense of freedom has its own pros and cons. You can get lazy with stuff because there's no one with a stick on your head, or you can like be the most productive self and figure your own schedule out. Other than that, I think I remember the first breath of air that I took when I landed here, because it has been my dream for a very long time to be in the US. And I landed in New York, and I spent a couple of days with people at Columbia who I worked with during my undergrad online. So I met them for the first time in person. So that was very exciting. I was in one of the greatest cities in the world, and it was a very nice feeling. The adjustment was an adjustment. It took me some time to like not feel homesick and find my feet around here. But now I feel more settled in. I feel like I have a group of people, group of friends that I can call my support system. Things are going good at work. So it was an adjustment, but I think overall, this is what I imagined my life to be. And it's nice to finally be living that.
It's nice to have like-minded peers around, and what you are dreaming for, when it's finally there, you are like, yes, I wanted this, and then you
Yeah.
realize that okay, these are also the problems that are going to come along my way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, why are you being sad? This is exactly what you wanted. And then you realize, like, yes, this is the life that you have dreamt of, and now you have it. So no complaints.
I like
Yeah.
to start from the beginning of your journey. Like, what sparked your interest in psychology, and how did your journey begin with this subject?
Um, so I took psychology as my fifth subject in class 11th. And I did not like it too much in 11th, but then in class 12th I had this very amazing teacher, and then I decided I wanted to pursue an undergraduation from the US in psychology, which is why I took classes for an AP exam, for the AP exam, AP psychology, which is an exam that people take in the US. And I had this teacher who was so brilliant and so amazing, and it's been a while since I have been in touch with her. That reminds me, I should like probably reach out to her. Anyways, and the way she taught the subject, it was amazing. I was like, yes, this is what I want to do. Then I got into DU. That was also a struggle because I did not score too well in my boards. I got into DU for psychology through my dance through dance quota. So, but I was very happy that I would get to study the subject that I love. And then the lockdown happened with COVID and everything. So I was like, I wanted to do something. I wanted to go beyond my academic coursework and go beyond just my bachelor's and do something in psychology. So I started emailing people around the world who are professors, PhD students, mostly in the US. I think I emailed a couple people in Canada and the UK. And I realized a lot of people actually respond back. And I got this realization when, I don't know if you've heard about this, he recently passed away last year, Dr. Albert Bandura. He
Yes, yes,
is
yes. That
he is
Bobodol
one of, yes, the Bobodol experiment, exactly. He is one of the most established, most amazing psychologists, behavioral psychologists. And I wrote an email to him and he responded back. I was like, if Dr. Albert Bandura can respond to my email, why can I not make use of this and like reach out to other people, professors, and see if I can do something for them? So I sent over 400, 500 emails in a span of 3 months. And I heard back from a PhD student at Columbia. And then we met on a Zoom call. And then he told me about what he's working on, the project that he's doing. And then I was like, yes, I'm excited about this. I want to learn more. I can help you out with something. And he was looking for research assistants. And his study, like the study that he was working on, was happening online. So I was able to contribute to the project on like through the virtual ecosystem and be like, okay, I can Zoom and I can work virtually, which was fun. And that paper is out now. I am a co-author on that paper. So
congratulations.
that paper was also published. Yeah, thank you. It just came out last month. So that was also very exciting. It was like years long project. And now he graduated his PhD as well, and now he's a postdoc at Columbia Medical Center or something. Yeah, and that is when I got excited about cognitive psychology, which is what I'm doing now. Although my interest in psychology kind of leaned towards clinical at the beginning, but when I joined the lab, I think I got more interested in research, particularly, and not necessarily clinical. So I think my time at Columbia really made me realize that I enjoyed research. And during that time, I was still looking for more experiences, more um, research experience in other fields as well, to decide what area of psychology do I want to do a PhD in, or if there's something else that I might like. So I was still reaching out to people. And then for a while there, I worked with another PhD student at Harvard, and she was a developmental PhD student, like she was studying developmental psychology. So that also gave me a perspective of whether I would want to do developmental psychology or not. So like this way, I like sort of explored the things that I really enjoyed and then decided like cognitive psychology, and in that human memory is something that is exciting to me, and I would want to do a PhD in memory and
That is
studying.
the kind of persistence that everyone should learn, because sending over 500 mails and then having an expectation that one of them would come back and will give me an opportunity is something we lose patience so easily in, and you persist.
Yeah, I think it was I wouldn't say it was exhausting or anything like that, but it can be very heartbreaking when you are sending out emails and people do not respond, or even if they do respond, they're like, no, we don't have any positions, or we can't do anything. But at the same time, I think just reading about the work that people are doing was very exciting. So it was an interesting process.
Just like you said, that the interest strengthened when you were in grade 12th. So, as
Mhm.
far as I know, you were preparing for JEE at first, and then you completely structured your path. So, what was the transition phase and challenges, or that peer pressure and family advices that you were getting at that
Oh
time?
God. Oh God. That was a bad time. I think it was mostly family pressure because like I was very sure that I don't want to do engineering when I was in sixth or seventh grade. I was really interested in journalism, and I wanted to do public speaking and like stuff like that. But then I was introduced to psychology when I was like, no, this is what I want to do. And even when I started my undergraduation, my plan was after undergraduation, I want to get back into journalism because like it's just that psychology will be something that I study, and it's not like you cannot switch fields or anything. But then the subject really got to me, and I'm like, yes, this is what I want to do. Yeah, but like because I enjoyed studying science. I really enjoyed science. Like, I wouldn't deny that when I took PCM in grade 11, it was because I really enjoyed science. But then my parents were like, oh, you're good at science, you're scoring well, you like it also, then why not engineering? Because this is what everyone does, and we don't know anything outside of it. So there was definitely a lot of parental pressure and whatnot. So I was like, fine, I'll do both. I'll try doing both. But I think for the most part, it was just a guise to like keep them shut and like do my own thing. And I like very hesitantly I did take the exam and everything. And what was it? I think I got into a an architecture program. Like, I scored really well in the J mains for architecture or something, and I think I scored like an 89 90th percentile or percentage something, and I think that got under the cutoff of NITs and IITs or something. So my dad was still like, oh, why not this? Architecture is also a good field instead of what is psychology and whatnot. And I think there's still this stigma about the subject that people don't understand how important psychology is or how much of a science it is, because most courses are a bachelor's of arts in psychology, which I do not agree with. It is absolutely a science. um yeah, so that was like a good struggling like a good struggle to like keep my parents in loop of what I am trying to do and like still navigating the situation. But I think I was very confident that I'll figure my way out. Even though I was not confident, I faked my confidence just so my parents would be like, fine, she knows what she's doing, even though I did not know much what I was doing. But things worked out.
So fake it till you make it worked for you.
Fake it till you make it. Yeah. Like, just fake the confidence in yourself. That is when other people would start believing in you. Even though you don't believe in yourself, if you fake it, people will have to know what you're talking about. Like, people will have to agree. And then you know yourself the best. Like, if you're like, one thing I was very sure of was like, I cannot survive engineering. I know that. But I think I can figure my way out with the other fields. So you know yourself the best. Like, just make a decision, stand with yourself, stand by yourself no matter what.
The most unique factor of yours pursuing PhD is that it was right after undergraduate. As the common path goes, it's undergrad, then master's, and then PhD. So what
Yeah.
about that? How did you just skip that second level and jump onto the very exciting one?
Yeah. So I remember it was again the time during the lockdown, and I was going through because I was planning my master's after undergraduation. And I was like, okay, I have one more year, one and a half more years, and I need to plan what I have to do after undergraduation. So I was looking for master's courses in psychology because I'm like, this is what I want to do for now, and I'll see where these courses are. And I remember landing up on, I remember landing up on Stanford's department page, and I'm going through the department's website. I'm like, master's courses to hai nahi. And like, I looked at a lot of universities pages, and I'm like, and I realized that there aren't a lot of master's courses for psychology, and there's directly a PhD course that is offered in most universities in the US. So now I'm like, what am I going to do now? And then when I looked at the PhD requirements, they were like, all you need is an undergraduate degree. So in the US, people are not aware, a lot of people are not aware. In the US, you don't necessarily have to have a master's degree to get into a PhD program. As long as you have the research uh, research experience and as long as you have worked in a lab before, it doesn't matter that you have a master's or not. And then other things include like if you have a good recommendation, and things like that. So that is when I started working backwards. I was like, okay, if I can get into a PhD program right after undergraduation, what else do I need? So then I realized that people do researchers, like they take on research assistant positions and they work on projects, which is when I started reaching out to people and be like, can I help you with anything? I can work on a research project with you or not. And then I started working with the PhD student at Columbia, and that gave me a lot of perspective in how the academic field works. And with the professor I worked with, recommended my application, which is a huge thing. Like, because like research is a very small knit community, like everyone knows everyone. So I had two recommendations from two professors at Columbia, which was very, very helpful, and it definitely strengthened my application. So I think just making that network and just figuring out what you need for where you have to be, I think that's very helpful.
Yes, because the concept, though, I mean, if you will search it, you just realize that there is no masters. But if you don't go into it, you don't realize that this is kind of a path that follows. So that is
Yeah.
something we need to do a deep research and analyze what our situation is and work
Yeah.
accordingly.
I mean, it's funny that people don't know about it because it's literally right there. If you just look for things, you'll find them. I mean, it sometimes it's crazy to me how less amount of time people spend on researching and just reading about things that they can possibly do. Even just like following people on Twitter, Instagram, or just looking at people's profile can give you a lot of idea about how things are in the industry, whichever industry it might be.
If it's possible for you, what is your research basically based on, and does it impact an individual directly, or there is an indirect connection to it? What is it?
Yeah, good question. My research is about how we remember things, what we remember, why we forget things, why we remember certain things, why we forget other things, and stuff like that. Um, we also use EEG. Do you know about EEG? EEG
Yes,
is like a brain
ethnographic
scan. Yeah,
device.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a brain imaging equipment that helps us look at the signals of the brain. So we use EEG to answer these questions. We look at how people encode information, retrieve information, why they forget, what they forget, and stuff like that. We also use fMRI, which is a brain imaging mechanism. Like again, that clicks pictures of the brain. Instead of the signals. So these are the two methods that we use in our lab. It definitely impacts an individual as well as people who might be suffering from memory related disorders. So if we know how a healthy human being remembers things or forgets things, we can think about how a person who is suffering with a disorder uh, would be affected by similar mechanisms.
Well, that is something really exciting. And of course, it's going to help a lot for, I mean, after a certain age, people also start forgetting. There are people with Alzheimer's and everything. It's going to help
Yep,
that person a lot.
yep,
So,
definitely.
there are a lot of differences we witness in the Indian and the American education system. What were some of
Mhm.
the key aspects that proved beneficial for you to study in the US?
Um, Great. I have I made an entire document mm, pointing out the differences in the academic systems. I think first thing is it's very in the US, it's very student friendly. It's like teachers are not after you or like in the Indian system, by default, it's the student's fault. Whatever is happening is the student's fault. The student is not paying enough attention. The student is not attending classes. The student is involved in 10 other things, which is why the student is not studying, blah, blah, blah. But in the US, it's like the students get a lot of freedom to figure out what they want to do. They have all kinds of resources. Like the professors are always available, they have their office hours, and they're very approachable. Then there are teaching assistants who are PhD students who are there for the undergraduate students or like high school students or whatever, to like help them out with questions or queries that they might have. So I think that is very helpful, just having extra resources, and just getting the freedom of doing what you want to do. And like students are not forced, like this is how things have to be. They get a lot of creative regularity, creative flexibility in what they want to do and how they want to do it. Even with assignments, students get like 3 assignments and they have to choose one, or they can do things themselves or think about something that they want to do and then do it. So I think that just gives a lot of power to the student as to how they want to learn and how they want to navigate the subject.
I guess that is something that leads to a holistic development in a student as well, because
Yeah,
you're provided with the freedom, you explore the whole world according to you and find your own way. That is
yeah.
something that we lack here. That rigidity is here, but
And
yes.
and sometimes I feel like the Indian education system is very irrational. Like here, nobody cares if you're bringing a notebook, if you're bringing a laptop or an iPad to work, because like it's the student's responsibility to take notes. Like nobody cares if it's a laptop, phone, or however it works for you, do whatever you want to do. But in India, I feel like it's like, no, you have to get a notebook, you don't have to have laptops in class and whatnot. It's just not practical. We are in 2023 now. Like obviously it's more convenient to use a laptop, and then writing down an answer, clicking picture, and then uploading it. Like what? It's just waste of time. So I think just these little things in terms of where teachers try to impose a sense of hierarchy and being like, oh, I am the teacher, you're the student, do what I am asking you to do. I don't think that exists here in the US. Like you are, even like you call the professor by their name, and they encourage them to do so. They encourage the students to do so just to like lessen the gap that people might feel between a professor and a student. So I think um, it's a very like open, free environment wherein you can like feel free to do whatever you want to do.
Okay. So it has been pointed out several times by people. Like I've also heard many people say that the investment in psychology is like the return of investment in psychology is less related to other fields. How would you react to that? That people spend a lot of years studying, but that return is not up to it.
Um, I don't think that's true. I think I mean, it's a general statistical trend, fine. But people spend pursuing medicine for like 7, 8 years, and then they're in the then they're doctors, and then they make money. And I don't know how to put this delicately, but it's not about the returns, it's not about the money you're making, because if you're going in the clinical field as a psychologist, you'll be a therapist, you'll be a counselor, you'll be a clinical psychologist, and you'll be treating patients, you'll be meeting with people. So I feel like the rewards aren't always supposed to be money, but if it has to be money, it can be. Like people like I have literally done my like undergraduation from DU, which was basic like government university. I did not have to pay a lot of money, and now I am earning a lot of money, not a lot of money, but like significant amount of money doing my PhD. So I have returns. I feel like I am getting returns after doing a bachelor's in psychology, and after the PhD I think it will double or triple, because in the industry, a person with a PhD is really looked up to. And then if I do end up becoming a professor or end up in academia, then in general, the the money structure is low for professors, but that also varies. Like if you are a well-renowned professor earning a lot of like accolades and like publishing a lot of research paper, you get attention, you get money. So I think it depends on an individual in terms of what returns they can get out of what they're doing.
So, as people evaluate a person's success by their financial outcome, so that also depends on how much hard work you're putting into your work, because that is
And
what come
I
into it.
don't think a person's success can just be defined by how much money they end up earning. I think there's so much more to a person's success.
I
It's
completely
do
agree with
you
that.
do you
Because
have a work-life balance? Do you have a life? Do you have a social group? Are you able to interact with people? How good a work environment are you in? I think all of these things
at the
combined.
end of the day, if you have a perfect mind balance as well, your peace within yourself, I guess
Yeah, I think that's success. Definitely.
that's
Yeah.
what most people lack today. And if you have achieved it, you have kind of achieved a lot. So
Yeah.
I'd like to lighten a mood here a bit. And like, you're also on Instagram, I'm also there. I've been watching a lot of those cultural shock reels. The friend is from
Yeah.
social media, and that is kind of a cultural shock I witnessed. I moved there, I was traveling there. So what kind of cultural shock did you had when you moved to US?
Oh, a lot of them. I think one of the first things that I had to struggle with was crossing roads, because here, like, they're very serious about the zebra crossing and the crossroads. And then you can't just be like, excuse me, and then walk through. That doesn't work here. Like there will be a signal here, there will be a signal here, and then there will be signals for the cars. And then when the signal says cross, only then you can cross. So it's not like you can just show your hands to the cars and be like, let me cross and go. So that was something that took me a second to figure out. Other thing, people call burgers sandwiches here. I don't understand why. It makes no sense. Like they would literally be serving burgers and they would call them a sandwich. I don't know. Then what else? Transportation is very bad here, very bad. Like you get e-rickshaws and you get other like easy metro and stuff. There's not a lot of it here. Probably in bigger cities they have a better connectivity in the metro, but not for the most parts in the
Because the
US.
population pressure is a bit low there, so that's why they don't
Population
have
is
that
very low.
public
Yeah.
transport in a wide
Yeah.
range.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of people around here, which is why I think public transportation is not a huge thing here. What else? I was thinking of something. Forgot. Oh yes, people are very nice here. Like I don't know if they're like actually nice, but like they would just randomly say hi to you, strike up a conversation, which I'm not used to. So sometimes I feel like people might perceive me to be rude because I'm not interacting too much. But because in India we don't, we just ignore strangers and we just do our own thing. But here people like to like greet even strangers and just strike up a conversation. So that was also something that I had to get used to.
So our meeting is going to end in 5 more minutes. I'll ask you one last question, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
So, who is Anshita to you? To me,
Oh
you
my God.
optimistic, dedicated person who carries an air of positivity with her. But who is Anshita to you? The aspect of your personality that is often neglected, misinterpreted, maybe. So, how do you see yourself as?
I would take the entire 5 minutes to just think an answer to this. Um, that is a good question. Who is Anshita to me? I think she. Okay. I think one of the things that I really admire about myself is that um, I take my time to panic about situation. I take my time to freak out about things. And then in an instant, I know what I need to do. Like I know how to pick myself up and be like, okay, this is what you need to do. And then I know how to like categorize things into priorities, and like this is what needs to be done, this is what needs to happen. um, how will you do it? And I think one of the greatest things that I've learned so far has been working backwards and planning ahead in time. So like, where do I see myself 5 years from now? What can I be doing right now to be there in the next 5 years? And I think I have this diary, and I update it every month and then every year. I've been doing it for 3 years now. So every year I would make a list of things that I want to be doing at the end of that year. Then I make a list of things every month at the end of every month that I want to be doing the next month. And then I have my daily to-do lists. So like, it's very like I always need to know what I'm working towards next. If I don't have something, I I lose myself. I tend to like lose myself. So I think, yeah, this is, I think Anshita knows how to get stuff done, I would say. Yeah.
I feel like that is the most important thing, because you should know that where you are going. Even if you feel like at times that you're panicking and you don't know where my life is heading, still you
Yeah,
have a grasp of things. You know that, yes, if I sit down to it, I'll know that I'll be reaching there.
I'll manage it. Yeah. And like the other side of this is that I think one person who has stood by me has been me. Like, I have gone through a lot of things, and just being like, like, you got this, just like being there for myself, because it's very easy to agree to what other people are saying, especially when they're older to you, or especially when they have that sort of power on you. It's very easy to say yes and lose yourself, not do things that you want to do. But I think I'm very grateful for myself. I'm very grateful to myself for just not giving up and being like, no, this is what I want to do and this is what I'm going to do. And other aspect of this would be still being kind and a happy presence around people. um, because I feel like once people achieve things, or like they're in a certain position, it, I don't know, but I think I feel like I want to be a kind, nice presence around people while doing things that I'm doing.
Thank you so much. It was so nice being with you here, and it was lovely. I had a great time. And
Yeah, this
thank
was
you
a
so much.
fun conversation.
Being with you is always a learning lesson. There's always that you can conversation, and it's just amazing.
Good job.